Hi everyone, this is Crystal with Emerson Aurora Design. Today I'm going to show you how I make this lemonade geode. It's the first in my Fruit on the Rock series. So I'm going to put this fabric on my tumbler. I already prepped my tumbler and I'm going to apply this pretty lemon pattern fabric on my tumbler. This is a 25 ounce straight duo tumbler from Stainless Steel Depot. This is a 1/4 of a yard cut piece of fabric. I had them cut it at the store, and it fits perfectly for the height of this tumbler. This is the first time I've done a fabric style tumbler, and I really love how it turned out. So I know that I will definitely do these more in the future. So I'm just rolling my cup in the fabric to kind of loosely measure how long I want this, and just cutting a little piece here. You want to make sure you cut enough so that there's an overlap. This has pretty large overlap, but that's okay. I'm gonna cut it off here in a little bit. I'm going to use Mod Podge to attach this fabric to my tumbler. This tumbler was sanded, washed, and then spray painted with a matte white finish. And I have my handy Mod Podge in a nice little condiment bottle. Makes it so much easier to apply to my tumblers. I'm just using a foam brush, and you want to spread this evenly, just a thin layer, just enough to adhere the fabric to my cup here. You don't want to go too crazy with Mod Podge. You don't want to have real thick layers. Just thin layers is best. And Mod Podge does dry quickly. I like that it dries quickly for these fabric tumblers because I'm going to put 3 layers over this, so it went faster than I thought it was going to. So I did adhere the bottom portion, or one side here, and I'm just rolling it and rubbing that Mod Podge in so it gets in between the fibers of the fabric. It's just a cotton fabric. It doesn't have any stretch to it, and that's why I chose a straight tumbler. Just keep continuing to apply that to the cup as you go, and smooth out any bubbles or wrinkles that you may have. Don't worry about the overhang on the top and the bottom. I'll take care of that here in a few minutes. So just smooth it out really nicely, get all the wrinkles out and any bubbles. And here's that overhang I told you about. I'm going to trim that up pretty close to the edge. There's a little bit of seepage in the Mod Podge on the end, the edge of the cup and the bottom of the cup. So I just wipe that off so it doesn't dry. So now now that Mod Podge is dry, I am going to trim that overhang at the seam there. And I'm just using this large popsicle stick to use as a straight edge and my razor tool. Be really careful when you're using a razor tool. I'm cutting this. My cup is balanced on my foam pool noodle kind of cup stand thingy that I made. Make sure your blade on your razor tool is really sharp, but be really careful. You don't want to cut yourself. I'm just holding firm pressure on that popsicle stick and running the blade along the edge of it to get a nice clean cut. And you'll see there it is. And then just smooth it back down. And I'm going to go over it again with some Mod Podge here in just a little bit. But now I'm going to address the top and the bottom of the tumbler, cut off that extra fabric. So I'm tucking that fabric down under the lid and just holding my razor blade straight flush with the table and just rolling it, the cup across the blade, I guess. I guess you'd say. It does a really good job. Just make sure that your, like I said, your razor is sharp. You can also use one of those fabric or vinyl cup tools, cutting tools that you can purchase online. I just didn't have one, so I make do with what I have. Since this is cotton fabric, there will be little strings. Just pull those off the best you can. And now I'm going to do the bottom part. I'm going to put my razor up on that thin popsicle stick just to raise it up a little higher so I have a larger white area there. I know it's hard to tell at this angle, but you just want to hold firm pressure against that razor blade. Just be really careful. And there it is. So lemony. I'm just going to cut off those little straggler ends. Now I'm going to apply 3 layers total on top of the fabric. This will help. You want to do this before you start epoxying at all. So 3 layers, thin layers of Mod Podge, and let them completely dry in between. Make sure you get the edge of the fabric really well and at the seam really well. That will soak into the fabric and create a really nice barrier before you put your epoxy on. If you do not do this, you will have almost wet spots where the epoxy will soak into the fabric and just make some discolored areas on your tumbler, and you don't want that. I want this pretty yellow lemon to really shine. It's nice because, like I said, Mod Podge does dry really quickly. So in this case, that's where Mod Podge is a star. You want to do thin layers because if not, if you do too thick of a layer, it may not dry clear. So you want to make sure that those are just thin, even layers. And I'm just brushing it until there aren't any streaks before it dries. Now I did go on and let that dry overnight. And you don't have to do a resin layer before this part. I am going to do the fun. I love doing geodes, and this is going to be a geode style over that pretty lemon. And I chose colors that would go really nicely and give it a citrus feel. So yellows, lime green, white, holographic silver. You'll see it turns out so pretty. So I'm taking some Mod Podge and I'm just putting it on my little palette there. And I'm taking a medium width brush, just dabbing that Mod Podge on. I want it to be kind of thick because that gives it a 3D effect and it will catch those thicker chunky glitters better. I will list all of the glitters that I use in the making of this tumbler in the description box below. This is absolutely gorgeous yellow chunky holographic with a lime green color shift. It is absolutely gorgeous. I love this color and this glitter just looks amazing. Now, if you're careful, you don't have to let each section dry before going in with a next section. Blech, I can't even talk. The next section. And I like to alternate chunkies and fine glitters to give it a sense of depth. There is that white lip at the bottom and the top of the tumbler, and I'm just going to go right over that with the glitters, essentially covering that. I wanted the lip at the bottom and the top so that I could seal that fabric on really well, but I wanted it covered with glitter, so that's why I'm covering that area. This is a really pretty chunky holographic glitter. It really helps to stand out. It's beautiful. Like I said, doing a thicker layer, kind of dabbing the brush with a thicker amount of Mod Podge does help that glitter to really hold tight. As you're going, especially with the chunkier glitters, kind of dab the edge of the cup to get those chunky glitters up off the lip of the cup, and you'll have an easier time of it when you start doing your epoxy. Whenever you choose to do a geode style tumbler, I always recommend pulling all the glitters that you want to use first and setting them out to see how they go together. There's no right or wrong way to do a geode. You can use any colors you love. Some colors do look better with each other than others do, so it's easier to pull it and then kind of line it up to see. I don't usually have a like a template in mind when I do my geodes, but I do know that I do want them to some to start at the top and some to start at the bottom. And then I just kind of build from there. I do thinner lines and then thicker lines to give it more of a depth and make it visually pleasing. And alternating the real chunky glitters and the chunky mixed glitters with the fine glitters. It really, you can tell the texture of it, even through the epoxy. It's really pretty. And like I said, so there's no rhyme or reason. The more sparkly, the better for me. The 3 layers of Mod Podge really did make a nice base for putting these glitters on. And just remember, I have not put any layer of epoxy on this tumbler yet. That'll come here in a little while. And I'm not stopping in between each line to allow the Mod Podge to dry. It does dry very quickly, and the glitters aren't contaminating because I did fill that area with the glitter previous. And if you can tell, I am rolling the tumbler away from the previous area just to help keep it that glitter from kind of sticking in the areas I don't want it to, if that makes sense. So I'm just going back and forth. I'll do that triangle area and then I'll do the straight area. That does allow a little bit of that Mod Podge to dry, kind of back and forth, one side and then the other, so that I don't get any contamination. Just remember, it's supposed to be like a geode. So the way geodes form, if you've ever seen them, there are really no straight lines. So I like to kind of go in a ripple pattern, or really there's no pattern. I just kind of move my brush around back and forth and follow just kind of like the fluid line of, I don't know, my brain. Sometimes when I'm doing geodes, it gets away from me because I have so much fun putting that glitter on and seeing it come to life. It's so pretty that I kind of overdo it. Go figure, right? But I really do want that lemon fabric to show through. So I'm trying to stay aware of how much of the geode I'm putting on here. Um, the fabric, lemon fabric, will become a part of that geode. I chose to call this the lemonade geode because for obvious reasons, but I have a few other fabrics with fruit on them, so I am going to do a series called Fruit on the Rocks. So watch for that, some more tutorials with different fruits and different colored schemes of geodes here in the future. Also, whenever I choose glitter for my geodes, I like to have a mix of holographic, um, pearl, metallic, all different. Ones that are more shiny, some that are maybe more of a mute glitter. Um, that's the only way I can explain. Some glitters don't look as shiny under epoxy. This white here that I'm using is from a pearl series. Um, it is absolutely beautiful. It's different cuts of this beautiful pearl glitter, and it gives just a pearl shine instead of a glitter shine, if that makes any sense. You can probably see it better once I show you close-up pictures of the tumbler. But yeah, I like to choose different glitters and different shines of glitter when I do my geodes. But you can use all sparkle glitter too, that's fine. You don't have to go into a rainbow style um, kind of color order when you're doing your geodes. I like to mix up the order, makes it a little more unique. But you could do a rainbow one, that would be pretty. I think I'm almost done, but I just think it needs one more glitter just to round off that edge. That I didn't want to leave white as the edge. Now once I'm finished with this tumbler, before I even put any epoxy on it, I'm going to take it and spray my 2x Rust-Oleum clear enamel spray, and I do probably a good 2 or 3 coats of that. I spray it on really well because this is some really chunky glitter, and it helps to keep that glitter in place. It helps it from the glitters from migrating into each other because I didn't want any glitter on that fabric area, and I also used white, so I didn't want any darker glitter getting into my white. And here I just Mod Podged the bottom of the tumbler, and I'm just putting this pretty lemon colored glitter. I think it's Sunny Days, something like that. Like I said, I'll list them down below. And then I'm filling in that top portion also where there was the gap in the fabric at the top of the tumbler. I'm just kind of filling in a little bit of that yellow there. Um, and I was trying to do a little bit of an ombre effect over the fabric area by using my paintbrush. It just helped bring that glitter down a little bit without covering that fabric. So this is after about 2 layers of epoxy and a full 24 hours of that tumbler, the epoxy, I can't talk, of the epoxy setting up. And now I'm going to take my white paint marker that I purchased at Michael's. It's just a thin acrylic paint marker. And I'm going to draw my lines on the geode. I tried to figure out what color lines did I want. I almost went with a silver, but it didn't really stand out very well. So I decided white would work the best. You can do the lines on your tumbler, on your geode here, if you like, but if you don't, it's fine too. It just adds a little bit more dimension. It is over 2 layers of epoxy, so there's a 3D aspect there, and it also kind of separates the different glitters from each other and gives it more of a stone-like effect. But I've also done geodes without the lines, and they're just as pretty. I'm just following the contours of the glitter. I'm not, getting too worried if I go over the line, over it or not. I'm just kind of making a little squiggly line as I go. And you want to make sure that this acrylic paint dries really well before you just don't put your hand in it. I kind of made a couple little smudges, and I'll show you how you can fix that here in just a few minutes. In the end, I was really glad that I did put the white lines on. Like I said, sometimes I like the geodes with with lines, and sometimes I don't. And this one I really did like the white lines. It turned out really pretty. Now, just so you know, that glitter is not very shiny right now, and the resin's not very shiny right now because I did sand this cup before I'm doing these lines, and that's perfectly fine. You can sand and then you can put these lines on, and then when you put the epoxy back on over top, everything will shine right back up. This geode over a fabric wrapped tumbler would be kind of fun with different patterns, sports fabric like softball or soccer. That would be kind of a neat tumbler, and you could do your colors of your team for the glitter. Other fruits or foods, even cute little character patterns would be cute, and you can add your colors. Like if you do a Mickey Mouse one, you can do red, black, and white. That would be really cute. So, the possibilities are endless, and there's no right or wrong answer when it comes to this. And you will have the most unique tumbler out there if you do something like that, because you can just keep, go with what you like. You don't have to follow what everyone else is doing. I think these are one of my top favorite type tumblers to do with the geodes. Every one of them is different. I've made a lot of them, and I've even made several in the same color schemes, but they never turn out the same as each other. So they're always very unique, just like the actual geodes in nature. So I'm going to show you how I cleared up any of the smudges. I did have a couple little smudge areas that I actually put my hand in. It's kind of hard to see right here where the smudge is, but if you just take a Q-tip and spray a little rubbing alcohol on it and very carefully just wipe off that smudge, voila, it will be gone. Just be careful. If you do wipe off too much, you can always go back in with your pen and fix the line. There's no need to seal this after, but if you want to, you can. I'm just going to go straight away and do my last layer of epoxy, and then my tumbler will be done. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something new and can take some inspiration from it and try one of your own. Thank you so much for taking time to watch my videos, and if you're interested in following me, hit that subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up or a comment. I love hearing, you know, your thoughts. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have, and I hope to see you next time. I have so many more planned for the future. And look at how pretty and shiny this turned out. It really makes me want to sit outside with my feet up on a hot summer day and drink lemonade out of this pretty cup. It's making me a little thirsty. I am really happy with the way this turned out. And I hope you are too. I hope you really like it. Thank you again. Happy crafting, everyone, and see you next time. Bye.